Athens is Elena Panaritis, CEO and founder at T4 Action and a former World Bank economist. She's also served as an advisor to the Greek government. Elena, thanks for joining us. It was interesting. He was saying to get convergence, we need fiscal transfers. I did press him and ask him whether he meant, is that in the form of loans or permanent transfers? Do you in some ways, say that again?
Please finish, yes.
Eleanor, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Sorry. Yes, I was just saying it was interesting to hear him say we've got to have fiscal transfers from the north to the south in Europe. How do you think burden sharing should progress?
Well, I believe burden sharing should be conditional to structural reforms and not necessarily fiscal transfers based on austerity measures. So we haven't done any of that in the last 3 years for a variety of reasons, which is pretty much, if we keep talking about it, it's like water under the bridge. But in reality, this is a Euro structural crisis. It's been misdiagnosed. Originally, we blamed it to bad expenditure practices of the Greek economy, which of course has a very heavy weight to it. But it is very much related to the lack of controls that do usually exist when an economy has structural conditions, if you wish, in a productivity model. So when this is not in place, no matter how much austerity you produce, you may meet our targets as we met them in 2010. Very, very high targets. In 2010, we reduced deficit by 6 percentage points. This is number one, honorable target that we met. However, it wasn't sustainable because our structural bases are very, very weak. And that is what undermines productivity, and that exactly is what undermines the euro productivity.
Yeah, and just on the structural reform, what do you need? Because structural reform can be rather painful. What would you need to counter the impact of going through structural reform?
Well, it's a simple thing, actually. It's not that painful. It requires strong leadership and political will to go against vested interests that are seemingly vested interests, but it increases productivity, so they turn immediately into new productive factors. So, for instance, we have huge unemployment. When somebody loses his job today, tomorrow he would be or should be able to open a little souvlaki stand if he lives in Greece, or some other type of a small business if he lives somewhere else. This is, frankly, very, very difficult to do in our countries in Europe and very difficult to do in Greece because of the high level of transaction costs, high level of administrative burdens, licenses. It takes about 6 to 8 months to open a small business, let alone a big one. So it's very hard to move an unemployed, if you wish, society to a fully employed society, and in addition to it, move it into new types of jobs and innovative productivity economy and new types of growth sectors. So that's precisely where we should be structuring all our efforts in reforming our economies, rather than cutting wages and pensions, which we frankly have done a little too much.